Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Don Kerchis and I'm going to be presenting my paper today along with my colleague Dr. Jaime Moreno Vallejo, entitled Household Economy in the Rural Sector of the Border Region Between Ecuador and Colombia and Alternatives to Overcome Poverty. Now, to kind of summarize what we have done, we attempted to look at the current reality of rural women in the border region between Colombia and Ecuador. And what we examined were three different processes, in particular self-awareness, validation, and empowerment on behalf of these rural women. These rural women, by the way, face very diverse problems that we can kind of encompass under the rubric of economic, social, cultural, and political. And what we try to do is measure the impact of these issues on the overall sense of security and well-being of these rural women in the border region. Now, these women make their livelihood from farming and from raising livestock on very small plots of land, and therefore they face very precarious opportunities for work in this rural environment. Now, if we look at the methodology for a moment, the central concern of the research is the following. We looked at, does the participation and empowerment of rural women in these border communities help to alleviate the high levels of poverty and contribute to the design of public policies that improve both standard of living and quality of life for these rural women? So essentially the hypothesis that we formulated is that participation and empowerment of rural women does contribute to improving and overcoming conditions of poverty among rural women. And in order to do this, we looked at two things specifically. One is we analyzed the participation and empowerment to reduce poverty and design public policy that improves gender equity on the one hand, and on the other hand, we identified factors that helped or hindered participation and empowerment of rural women on the border region between Colombia and Ecuador. So, this was done through a series of field visits that included both participant observation and interviews. The rural women were interviewed for approximately 3 hours. The participants were selected who belonged to organizations that were linked to production in the rural sector. In addition to individual interviews, focus groups were also utilized, and the interviews were guided by a survey discussion script to facilitate collection of the targeted data. Now, please note that the rural situation in both Nariño, Colombia, and Kerchis, Ecuador are characterized by the following. First of all, there are very low levels of technological production, there are scarce marketing channels, there are low income levels, and there are very limited education levels. Both of these regions also face the broader issue of strained center-periphery relations between the megacities of Bogota and Quito and their corresponding hinterlands in the border region of both Nariño in Colombia and Kerchis in Ecuador. Yeah, you can stop it.